Hey everyone, I am finally back, and I want to start off by saying thank you to all of you that have showed your support in joining me in my journey of L.E.I.I, where we learn, educate, inspire, and impact. I also want to apologize for the inconsistency in the outpour of my content, but as you guys know, life happens, and that brings me to what I want to discuss today. What did 2020 look like for us? While I do want to share with you guys how my 2020 looks, I'm not going to go into too much detail as to save some of these things for a later time. With that being said, let's get started. For those of you that do not know, I graduated from a community college in 2019 and then transferred to a four-year university that fall. Well, in January of 2020, I had the opportunity to move on campus, and that is exactly what I did. My January and February was spent in adjusting to this new experience, and of course focusing on my studies. All seemed to go quite well until mid-March. Unfortunately and ironically, on Friday, March the 13th, I moved back home thanks to COVID. After a 2-week-long spring break, my school had transferred the remainder of our courses to an online platform, and that is how I spent the remainder of my March and April. I must honestly say that it was a struggle to successfully pass that semester. Even to this day, I still can't grasp how and why it was such a challenge. Especially looking back to the fact that I had taken more classes at a time than that semester, as well as the fact that I've taken a number of online classes, I did not see how this particular semester, or should I say half a semester, was so challenging. Anyways, having started a new job in January of that year as well, I was expected to get more hours since I had moved back home. This seemed promising in the beginning, but again, due to unforeseen circumstances and the way life just flowed, I did not get anywhere near as many hours as I had intended. My summer was such a blur, but I also had small moments of joy in between. With August arriving, it was time for me to go back to school, and fortunately, my university was able to put into place precautions that would allow us to open, with keeping COVID in mind and practices that would be best for everyone's health. From August until our semester ended in November, my time again was such a blur, but with much focus in getting through the semester. Fortunately for me, the semester in many ways was challenging and in other ways easier. Passing my classes was much easier, and I returned home right before Thanksgiving for our extended winter break. Now, going back to earlier in 2020, I had just begun using social media. It was through that platform that I was able to reconnect with a particular individual from my church. I say that to say this: I am so grateful that we were able to reconnect, as over the course of the year, we have become each other's best friends. Also, with quarantine taking place for us in March, another young lady reached out to me from my church wanting to start a Bible study group. I am so glad I said yes, as it is with these individuals that we have built such a bond with one another. From encouraging and uplifting one another, to much laughter and hangouts, to even a trip to Charleston, it has been a great journey of helping and witnessing each other learn and grow from life experiences. While COVID threw many obstacles in our way, such as the way in which we celebrated our birthdays and the cancellation of trips, we did make the most of the opportunities that we had. Aside from gaining a best friend and a bond with a wonderful group of people, I've also had the opportunity to enjoy even the smaller moments of life. Though the beginning of my year brought many school obstacles and the lack of hours that I was able to work, I was presented with a challenge, so to speak, to make the most of the time that I did have on my hands. While I was not on campus as long as I expected, and while I was not working the hours that I wanted, I was able to relax much more. For those of you that do not know, in the months and years prior to this COVID situation, I had spent much of my time engaging in several things, from being a full-time student to working multiple jobs and also volunteering in ministry and so many other things. Time for myself was very rare, and that is something that I did gain thanks to COVID. Though we were quarantined and many places were shut down, my family took this opportunity to relive some of the moments of our younger childhood and to continue doing what we love to do most, spending quality time together. I also had time to build myself emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, and engage in the hobbies that I enjoyed doing. Having given you guys a small glimpse of what my 2020 looks like, I want to bring to your attention the word perspective. What was your perspective of life for the year of 2020? From personal experiences to conversation with family friends to the witnessing of drastic changes in the lives of people across the world, I can definitely say 2020 brought its fair share of ups and downs. Though 2020 brought along a lot of things that were beyond our control, we did have something that was within our control, and that was our reaction and response to the situations that we were confronted with. 2020 challenged us to change our perspective of how we viewed our lives. A lot of the opportunities that we had in the year 2020 were overlooked due to the perspective that we had of our lives. So, yes, 2020 presented me with a lot of obstacles and challenges, but it was only through the changing of my perspective that I was able to rechannel my reality and to make it the most of the opportunity that I had. So, my challenge to you guys is to review your 2020 and be honest. What was your perspective of your 2020? Did you choose to focus on the negative reality, or did you choose to find the joyous moments in between? I understand from, again, personal experiences and the witnessing of the lives of others that there were a lot of things that were simply beyond our control. But within those circumstances of the things that did not go our way, what did we have instead? While I did not intend to end my first campus experience so abruptly, I did have the opportunity to continue my education anyway. This circumstance of having to come home earlier than expected gave me the opportunity to spend time with my family. At that time, my church had shut down and we had to do church online. But I also had the opportunity of practicing my videography as being part of the children's church ministry. While I'd expected to get more hours at my job, and that did not happen, I did have the opportunity to be at home again with family, but then also to build myself up emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Thank you everyone for tuning in to today's video. Please share and give any feedback, and I look forward to you guys joining in next week's video.